Yusuf's over here talking to himself in his cell phone. All right, guys, we're gonna get started in a couple minutes. We're just finishing up a few little details, some administrative details. Thanks everyone for showing up today. We got an awesome guest today. We got Razzer in the house. If you haven't seen him, Razzer's been crushing it on Twitter, putting out really, really high quality content. So be sure to give him a follow. We'll link his gonna link his stuff in chat later. What's up, Raz?
Hello?
Hello, hello. Yusuf, do you have your audio working yet?
Okay, so I have my laptop, my bad mic,
Oh, your
right?
mic's fine.
To
Your mic's
fix,
fine.
I'm trying to fix it. So just give me one moment, okay? I'll try to fix it.
Go for it. All right. So I am going to link the Twitter broadcast in chat. So one of the things we're going to ask you all today in our Google form is how we can better reward people for attendance and for engagement. I know that there are a lot of you out there who are just getting started in the crypto space or trying to earn your first bag so you can start DLMMing. And one of the ideas that we're kind of like playing around with is just rewarding people for simple like Twitter retweeting and rating. And so like I'm going to link our broadcast and then I want you all to go raid the shit out of it and retweet it. Um, shouldn't there be an actual Twitter post that people can retweet? Or is there no way to retweet a broadcast? Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you can retweet the broadcast.
All right. So everyone in the audience, please go retweet this and rate it. And so, like, really, what we were trying to do is we're trying to find a way to increase our reach and our engagement while also giving people who are getting started in the crypto space the opportunity to essentially earn little mini transactions so that they can get some funds to start LPing with. So this is just the way that we're going to start this. Um, but let's go ahead and get started with this. This is LP Jam number 12. If you don't know, each week we get 50K from Ben Chow, one of the co-founders of Meteora, to LP Live. We have an awesome guest on today, which is Razzer, the official Razzer. He's going to give himself a little shout out in a second. Like I said earlier, if you haven't seen his content, he's an OG DLMMer, and he's really, really crushing it with high quality, highly educational DLMMing content. And so be sure to check him out. He's got a lot of really, really great content on there. We've also got Yusuf and Heavy Metal Cook on. And so, Yusuf, you want to give yourself a quick shout out, and then Heavy, you want to talk about boot camp. We can give us a quick synopsis of how last week's boot camp went and tell others how they can get involved in the boot camp in the future.
Sure, okay. So hello everyone, my name is Yusuf. I'm an LP Army moderator. So I'm a moderator within the Meteora Discord for the Meteora community. Yeah, I guess I'll have to mention it once again. I'm 19 years old. I've, I've worked or I'm currently working with Photon as well. And yeah, I'm just having fun with the LP Jam sessions, trying to make all of us some money.
Oh, well, everybody, GMAT, Heavy Metal Cook, LP Army, mod, boot camp mod, and the I have a regular job, which I'm supposed to be doing right now. But I'm here to hopefully add some hype. Um, but the boot camps, I want to talk about that. We just had outstanding session over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Um, Chief, Goose Gang member, he ran day two. He did an outstanding job. It's a great way to get educated on the basics of Meteora as well as starting out with some of your advanced strategies. Uh, and some of that can play into here, um, into the jams, learning that education. But if you have not taken boot camp, I recommend it. There's still time to get in on this current boot camp by watching the recordings out there on X and YouTube. Just watch it. There's some forms through QR codes. You can get yourself a boot camp trainee role as well as LP Army private role by completing all the tasks. You've got 1 week basically. You've got until 1 p.m. UTC, whatever time zone that
Hello,
translates to you, on
hello.
September 29th to finish the tasks and earn your roles and join the Army. Love to have all of you there. And we're going to make that a regular thing. It's got one already figured up for October and so forth. And we're also looking at creating some advanced boot camps for people to learn various new things, whether it's about tools or advanced strategies or techniques that you can use to make your LPing game that much better. So that's boot camp. In short, I could talk all day about it, but I'm not going to.
Let's
Um,
go. And so, guys, if you haven't joined the boot camp, you really need to. We're going to start doing kind of like our profit distributions where LP Army privates and such. That's how they get like the little bonuses for rating and stuff. So make sure you join a boot camp. Make sure you're teaching yourself about DLMing and take advantage of all this serious alpha we got. So, Razzer, the stage is yours. You want to give yourself a quick shout out?
Yep. Hello, everyone. My name's Raza. You might have seen me on Twitter or YouTube. That's what I go by. You might have seen my videos mostly, or my trading where I've tried to publicly go from one Solana. It was a bit easier back then, but trying to get to 100. Uh, but I've been making a few tutorials more recently, which a lot of people have found really helpful, and I hopefully can continue to keep doing that as well. Should I? I'll drop my
Guys,
Twitter.
Razzer's kind of humble. He just did a like 1 to 76 soul. I think it's where you're at right now is around 76 soul.
Yeah, I think around that.
It's a 75x and what has it been like 1 month? So give the guy some credit where
Yeah,
credit's
maybe
due.
2 months.
It's not a bad performance so far, and he's done an excellent job of documenting his results and also sharing some really high quality content along the way. So please give him a follow. And if you're not reading his content, you're honestly really missing out because he's sharing a bunch of really high quality DLMMing alpha. So let's go ahead and get started with the jam. There's 3 coins that we're going to LP live today. And then Raz is going to talk a little bit about managing portfolio risk and essentially like handle losses and such. And then the last part of the session, we're going to do a live Q&A, and then we're going to let audience members come up and LP little mini bags. I know that some people really enjoyed that the last time we did that, and we want to make sure that we're getting as much community engagement as possible. So which position do we want to do first, guys? Y'all have any preference?
Let's take a look at WDoc. I think that's a
WDoc?
pretty nice one. Yeah.
So I discreetly did our DCA into WDog. So all you screen snipers out there, get wrecked. You can't snipe us anymore. Or 2 on top of it. So let me go ahead and share my screen. You guys see my screen now?
Yes, we do.
Oh, whoops, this is, one sec, I shared the wrong screen.
Yeah, JP, we are going to look at Wawa, I believe, today.
Yeah, we'll likely discuss it later on.
So if you've been following along with the jams over the past weeks, you'll see that WDog is a recent attendee. And the reason for that being is it's kind of up only since really mid-August. So what I like to do is I like to create trading channels because, well, like technical analysis is not perfect. It definitely has some relevance because when other people are making their trading decisions or their LPing decisions, this is a big portion of the information that they have available to them. They're able to look at the chart and see what the chart has done in the past. And so a lot of times these channels will be functional because other people will see that, hey, we had a top here. And once again, we had a top here and people sold off. And we had a bottom here. And then once again, we have a bottom here and people buy. And so while they're not always functional and correct, they are a good place to start making your trading decisions. And so the reason I like WDog is this. We have this upward channel over time. WDog is a community token, so theoretically we're going to have less insider action and manipulation. And then also combining this with the overall market conditions, which we kind of seem like we're getting ready for a reversal. We have like the plus 10% on Sol over the last week, and the market has kind of been like sideways down for the past 3 months. So I know that there's a lot of market sentiment, just people's emotions, where they're eager and ready for something to take off. So we could see a breakout with WDog. We could see more range trading. We could see a sell-off, but the fact that we've had this kind of like stable floor over the past 2 months or so gives me more confidence that we're probably going to stay in this range. So if I was going to LP this, I would do a two-sided, giving ourselves some range on either end so we can catch price moving up or down. And then I would look to exit near the top end of this range so that our tokens appreciate in value, and then we're able to earn some fees along the way. Yusuf, Razor, and Heavy Metal, I'd love to hear you guys' opinion, and let's do kind of like an open discussion.
Okay. So first of all, my mic should be better now, actually. So that's pretty nice. Second of all, yeah. So my general opinion of WDoc, like just the coin itself, how it's been performing for the last month, its community on Twitter and etc. is pretty bullish. It's a pretty strong coin. It's been sitting above or around 10 million like ever since of the beginning of August, right? So that's a strong indicator to me, at least. In terms of where it will move, I think that very much will depend on whether on two things, right? One of the things are where Sol or yeah, where Sol will go, right? If Sol goes down, WDOG will likely go down, and vice versa. The second thing is that we can maybe expect a breakout on WDOG very soon, because it has been ranging within 15 to 20 million for a very long time, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually pushed it above 20 million and above its previous all-time high. So I think those are like my general thoughts on WDOG. What do you guys think?
Well, I think, this is one of those tokens that it's going to continue for a while. And you can see, like right here on the chart that you've got there, I think what we are looking at is probably another like small dip, and then it's going to climb back up. Um, I think it's going to range for a little while. The volume has been slowly dropping over the last, months or so, but it still stayed somewhat steady. Um, Obviously when you launch, you get all that big volume, but right now it's still going, man. I mean, I think it's a good play. Um, it's definitely going to go down here just a little bit, but I don't know. We're looking at a 4 hour chart, so
Don't jinx us,
um,
Heavy. Don't jinx us. No, so I allocated half of our bag to buy W Dog, and then we have half is sold so that we can catch fees on the down. The question that I want to ask is, so one play that I kind of like is putting our bottom here on like a really, really tight range and then using this as our stop loss. Or we could also do a play where we put our bottom down here. So it's kind of minus 25%. It's almost 25. And then we could do, so we're either like plus or minus 10 or plus or minus 25. Raz, what do you think about that? And what would you do?
I think the plus or minus 25, just because um I mean you're probably what are you getting? Maybe 1% in fees a day? Or in the narrow range, maybe a bit higher,
Let's check.
2%. I just find I think on something like W Dog, which I know you probably want to be in for a longer period of time. I think just having that slightly wider range is more beneficial.
Hmm. So if we take a tight range with a tight stop loss, we could see price dump out of our range and kind of forcing us to close the position when we'd be taking a loss there because our fees aren't really going to offset it. But by taking that wider range, we give ourselves a longer realistic time duration to earn fees for.
Yeah, exactly. And it can also go up a lot more as well. Like
Mm.
as Yusuf said, it has been ranging for a while. We don't
Yeah,
know it's going to break out potentially.
I like it.
yeah, yeah. I kind of agree, and I think our stop loss should be. I genuinely think that we should maybe consider a stop loss based on the price of Sol, right? So if Solana was to go very bearish within the next few days, or so, like if like I mean that will depend on the Sol chart itself, but I assume that a price of Sol, like if Solana was to go back to the price as it was before breakpoint, that would be a very like that would be bearish to me at least. So that could be a point of stop loss. So before breakpoint, Solana was, I think it was sitting at like 135, between 130 to 135. So if Solana was to dump down there, we should definitely just consider closing our position W dot.
Raz, what is your philosophy on stop losses and how do you choose those and how do you implement that?
Yeah, I mean it's tough because you don't want to sell out if you think it's going to rise back up into your range. So, it can depend on a lot of factors. But generally, even if I dumped out of W Dog, I don't think I would just sell straight out. I think I would, like, going into the coin, I would hope it would rise back up. So I might just try and rebalance it. So selling maybe 50% and then making a new curve. Um, Generally, I only completely sell out if I think it's going to be really bearish and we're not going to recover back up to that range. And I think, as Yusuf said, I think something like W Dog, it does seem to be kind of paired to Sol a bit. Like it's stayed up, and when Sol has pumped, so has W Dog. I kind of got two lists of tokens, and I've kind of moved it to the established meme tokens, which move more with the market.
Yeah. Like so what do you ultimately think about the idea of setting the stop loss based on the price of Sol? Like, because I genuinely think that if Solana was to go back to the prices we had before breakpoint, that would be an indicator to me, at least, for us to simply
So
close everything.
I don't like that because this is our Sol WDog chart, and you can see that it's outperforming Sol over time. And so while WDog will most likely go down first, if Sol goes down, because we're denominating our trade wins and losses in Sol versus USDC, I don't think that necessarily we should close if Sol goes down because we're ultimately trying to accumulate more Sol in the long run. I'm not opposed to it, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea. But if you look at the WDOG chart versus Sol, it's appreciating versus Sol over time.
Yeah, but I guess my point is rather on the fact that if Solana was to go to say 130, right? Like I would genuinely not be surprised if it would then tank a lot, right? Go to maybe 100, 110, maybe even lower than that, right?
Hush your mouth.
What?
I'm just messing with you. But don't say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm like being realistic, right? Because
I know.
we've kind of had this people have called it like a I forgot the name, but we've kind of had these last few weeks being like ups and downs, right? Which means that if like this recent pump we had during breakpoint has been kind of a pump that we've all needed, right? Okay, wait, no mind. Yeah, so the recent pump we had has kind of been a pump that we've all needed. It has actually created a lot of bullish narratives around crypto and Solana, etc. So that ultimately means that if prices were to go down breakpoint, we could ultimately expect prices to go even lower and touch some of the points that were touched during the flash dip back in the beginning of August. Like those are generally just my thoughts, right? Like if prices go back to pre break point, everything is bearish. Like I'll be very bearish if prices go back to pre break point.
One thing that I think is relevant is the historical price action in like the post-halving year after September. So if you look back at historical price action, October, November, December are up only months in the post-halving year. Again, like the market's different every time, and we can't predict the market with certainty, but we can analyze past trends and look at it. So, like, I personally think that what we've seen is the shakeout before the start of the real uptrend, but I also could be wrong, and I'm not an expert by any means. I think we need to acknowledge what Yusuf is saying, and we need to have like a plan in place for if and when our thesis is proven incorrect. But I also don't know if Sol going down necessarily means we lose value in our WDOG position relative to Sol. So this is the Solana chart, and so I want to see what happened the last time Sol really dumped. So we have August, the end of August is when our last like short-term high was, and then we're going to September 5th. So here we have, I think Yusuf is actually going to be spot on correct here. It's kind of interesting. So we have end of August with the short-term up top, going into beginning of September. And yeah, it turns out, Yusuf, your analysis was spot on correct. But then we also see a big uptrend here. And so let's also compare that. So we have Sol moving sideways during this position, where WDOG has a substantial price uptrend. And so I think given the market cap of WDOG, it has lots of more room for fluctuation. I think most likely, based on what we've seen, if Sol tanks, we'll probably see a sell-off in WDOG as well. But we may also see a reversal like this. So given like, I think WDOG's probably a coin that you could hold for a long period of time. I think given that being the case, I think we're probably would be rewarded by not selling in a loss if we were to see price decrease. But we also need to have like good trading management and good trading discipline and have like stop losses set if and when the black swan event occurs or something like that, where we're really like taking an L on our overall position. Do you guys have
Yeah.
any?
Yeah,
So
I guess. Okay, just go
I was
ahead.
just gonna, I just wanted to say really quick, there was a question in the Q&A, what's the narrative behind these channels on the chart? I think you probably covered that sufficiently, or
Well, I don't know if there's like a narrative. It's like price goes
yeah,
up because
I
people
mean,
buy
I'm
it,
not
and it
sure
goes
if I
down when
understood the
people sell.
question, but go ahead. Sorry, you're muted.
Oh, that's all I wanted to say. Like, I don't know if there is a lot of logic behind why price goes up and down. It's sometimes people buy and sometimes people sell. Um,
Really?
Yeah, okay. So I
Oh,
wanted to do
nuggets of wisdom there. Sometimes people buy and sometimes people sell. Y'all retweet that.
that.
Messing with you, Bob.
Okay, okay. But so actually you showed two limits, Bob or Hayden. You showed two limits before, right? When you were talking about potential ranges to cover. I think the second limit that you chose, right? So the one that was a little lower, I think it was 20% lower, would be reasonable to use. I think it also depends on how much capital we are going to allocate into WDOG. Like, do you know how much are we going to put into WDOG?
5K total, so 2,500 and 2,500.
Okay, okay, okay. Then yeah, that's not too much. So we could actually go a little more aggressive, I guess.
The bull Yusuf comes out. Raz, do you have any thoughts or do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're going in with, more size, I guess 5,000 in relation to, what we're going with is a smaller proportion. But, if you're going in with the larger size, a wider range makes more sense because in each bin, you still might have a similar amount than if you're concentrated with a small amount. One sol in each bin is the same in, a wider position with more sol. So I think if we've decided, 5,000, I think it was it the 10% either side on the narrow range.
Yeah, so we had
I,
a potential narrow range at plus or minus 10 and then a wide range at plus or minus 25.
yeah, I think if you're going in with an amount like that, I think that narrow range, I think should be good for us. But if we were deciding we wanted that 25% and we were allocating if we were allocating a larger amount, we would probably want that wider range. But since we're not, I think that's a good plan.
I
I
agree.
I'd love to do two positions. We can do one with a smaller amount at plus or minus 10, and then we can put the majority of our capital in the plus or minus 20. Um, and yeah, we can just use this as another test and see which one outperforms.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with, unless we do see a proper black swan with soul completely dipping, I think W Dog, even if it does, I don't know, trend down a bit towards the bottom of the range, you would imagine it would come back up whenever soul decides to come back up because it feels quite established now and it has been trading on its own, regardless of soul, as uh, you just showed, Bob.
All right, so I'm gonna just grab another bag of 5 soul worth, and we can use that for a little mini test experiment. And then we're gonna go ahead and head over to Meteora, and we're gonna just essentially, I think there's only one pool that's really a good choice right now. It's the 80 bin step 1%. It's doing like 3 times as much in terms of fee generation. Um, but we'll take a look at that and see what everyone thinks. All right, let's go back to all of the pools that are available just so we can show what we've got going on. Maybe we do a CW dog. I really like the meme to meme pairs. I think that's an interesting meta. But
Yeah.
we can see here the various pools. The 201% kind of unperforming. There's not a lot of volume there. And I think obviously this is the obvious choice. Most TVL, most trading volume, and the highest fees. You guys agree?
I agree.
So I'm just going to use the autofill. So I really like these jams because it gives us the opportunity to test various positions like this. I think with smaller or excuse me, larger market cap coins, when you are trying to maximize speed generation, doing really tight ranges like this can be really good. And so I'm curious to see what we will see. Yeah, I'm curious to see what we'll see over time. Raz, you back with us?
Back.
Back in action. So I went and did a 10 sold position with plus or minus 10% range. And then I want to see what you guys think about distribution and how we should distribute our capital given what the liquidity is showing us, but then also choosing between spot, curve, and bid ask.
Yeah. So yeah, it will depend on what type of pool we're wanting to make right now. Like, do you want to make a bearish pool position or a bullish position right now?
I mean, I think we should just do kind of like a normal two-sided. I already allocated the 18 SOL into W dog, and I think we should just do the standard two-sided, kind of like we were discussing.
Okay, yeah. So so for W dog, I think it would be interesting to make a mix between spot and bid ask, with most of the W dog allocated in a bid ask.
Hmm.
Because we can see on the screen that liquidity is thinner at the top than at around current price. So we would be earning more fees if there wasn't someone that would add, like, I mean, someone would, like, if prices were to go up there, we could likely assume that some other LPs would provide their liquidity as well. So this picture that we're giving right now isn't, something that is fully reliable. But if prices or if liquidity was to be like this, constantly, and then we would be earning more fees if prices were to go up to the top range or the top prices, because there's less liquidity there compared to the bins around current price.
What do you think, Raz?
So for something like W dog, I mean, I just pulled up the VPVR, volume indicator, but down to that kind of 0.0009 level, it's pretty consistent volume kind of at all points. I mean, there's probably a bit of a spike towards the bottom, but generally for something like this, I'd probably just have a spot position covering that range, maybe a tiny bit of bid ask on, but yeah, on the top side, it does look like kind of above that. It's kind of above 0.15, so almost outside the top, but it does look like it is heading towards that resistance again. It's a lot thinner, so I guess you would be getting the token profits as well with the bid ask going up. So that could be layered on top on the right hand side, or make like a completely separate position with some tokens in that.
I actually really like allocating a percentage of our liquidity to this top range. We need to be careful because, like, most likely, given what we've seen in the past, we're going to see a rejection here. But with how thin the liquidity is and the token appreciation, that could be a really sweet play if we put like 20% of our bag up here. We kind of like spike to that top, we catch some fees, and then we just close and profit. So let's go ahead and get through it.
Yeah, I agree, but I think, like, if you're planning to put the liquidity across all the bins that are okay, so you're changing the upper. No, I think we should change the upper limit, in my opinion, because prices likely won't go there within the foreseeable future. What?
So I mean, I think one thing that's really important with general trading is to respect ongoing trends. So we have this macro trend of up only, and then we also have this short-term trend of up only. We have this bottom here and then a new higher low. And so I think we need to like that kind of signifies that price is going to keep going up, and the chart is showing price is going up. We should respect like this as a point of like a rejection point or a resistance point, but that's at point what is it? Essentially 0.115. And so it's possible we have a breakout here. Usually you see rejections at resistance. So maybe we put the majority of our capital in this range. But then I also like really like given what liquidity is showing, and then also the potential gain. Because like if we take 10 or 20% of our bag and allocate it up here, and if we miss, we can just sell it here. And that's still at like a 10 or 15% profit versus the opportunity cost of not allocating anything up here.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yusuf, we can do two positions. If you feel really strongly against our thesis, then
no,
let's
I agree.
two positions.
I think it would be I think it's a fine strategy because if prices were to go up there, or if prices were not to go up there, but the price still has pumped compared to the current price, then we would still be able to lock in some profits, some old good positive leverage loss.
All right, so let's go for it. We're gonna go ahead and open this, and then we're gonna move to our next position. Which ones do you guys want to do next?
We can take a look at pesto.
So I'm gonna do minus 20% and plus 20% for our standard range. Do you guys think that's good? I actually think it's pretty solid.
Could you repeat that? I was reading a question in the Q&A section.
Plus or minus 20% for our normal range.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will kind of be like our long-term hold. Honestly, this could do really well if we range over time. And then I left like 20% of our W dog, and we're just going to toss that up at the top end of the range. And hopefully we can get a little breakout. Honestly, like I've been saying W dog's going to break out for like 3 weeks, and it just keeps ranging. So one of these days it's bound to, I feel like.
I mean, it likely will.
We got deposits?
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't know if everybody knows what that means, but that means it's time to drink. We toast deposits around here. Skull, a little bit of coconut rum today.
What do you guys think about this as our top end range?
I think that's fair. So I think I'll read the question in the Q&A section because it's quite long actually. So someone is asking, I'm trying to figure out strategies. In this instance, I have got a trade, right? I put a single-sided meme coin trade in a meme coin to Sol pair. Meme coin doubles and I trade out of the meme coin into Sol plus fees. Great. However, is it sensible to take Sol and then do a single-sided trade on the downside? Part of me thinks yes, which with that kind of volatility up means, okay, I don't think I get the question, to be honest. Could someone read it?
Please retype that question in 3 sentences or less, Hangout. And then also, guys, if you have questions, ask. But for the most part, we're just going to hold Q&A until the end, and then we can just do like an open discussion where people will ask questions on top of questions.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get into, you said it was pesto we're going to do next?
Yeah, let's do pesto. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Please tell me if you guys can see my screen now.
I see.
Do you guys see it?
Yes, we see.
Perfect. All right, cool. So I'll have to remove this. Wait, give me 1 second.
That is crazy chart for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a pretty low cap. Wait, okay. It's a pretty low cap coin, so that's why.
Yeah.
And it launched recently. Okay, wait a minute. I need to remove this. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a pretty low cap coin that it launched like 3 days ago. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Or 5 days ago actually. But yeah, let's take a look at it. Right now, I'm in the main pesto pool, and by that I mean the pool that was migrated into from Pump Fund, because this coin was launched on Pump Fund. Okay, so yeah, I'm in the main rating pool. It's the pool with the most amount of liquidity in it for pesto. It has 733 SOL in it. So yeah, you by far, or just as a side note, you should definitely always base your analysis on the pool with the most amount of liquidity, because they will usually make the most amount of volume, and you want to base your analysis and your ideas on charts that have the most amount of data and volume. Okay, cool. So I put two lines here. I put one line representing current price, which is 165 against SOL. Yeah, and I put this line here. It's representing like the middle of the last. I mean, so the last support area we had for pesto was likely around here, right? That was the last support area pesto has had. It has bounced off beautifully all the times. It has reached it, right? This line here represents a previous support area. Yes, so those are the three lines that I think are interesting right now. For pesto, yeah, so these lines kind of represent a possible position that would go or have a bearish belief in how price would move, because I think that pesto will go down in price simply due to its volatile nature. It's a very low cap meme coin. It has been losing a bit of volume over the last day or so, which isn't that good since it has been sitting pretty stable around this price here for the last 2 days. So yeah, that's my introduction to pesto, and those are like kind of the lines that I think are interesting for a possible position. What do you guys think about this?
I like taking a conservative play on this because I think we have a lot of downside potential. We have decreasing volume. We see this in the most recent short-term high. We see a strong rejection there, and then that big wick, which those two really big wicks, the red one and green one, are probably MEV bots. But I think obviously we can't predict the future, but if we have like a downtrend, we have so much room for IL that I'd rather like taking a conservative play on this, and then we profit if price goes down versus going aggro, and if price goes down, we get wrecked.
I agree. I think there are two possible positions that we could do actually. So one of the positions would be to rely on this upper support area, okay? Or the most recent or the current support area that there is right now for pesto. So it's a more risky, position if you would allocate all or liquidity between these two price limits, simply because it is a low cap. It could easily go down like 30% in an hour, which we have experienced before. So this position here, if we were to make a tighter position, I think we should allocate maybe 20%, or yeah, maybe 20% of our capital that we're thinking about putting into pesto into this position, right? And then we could just extend it to the middle of this price range here.
Raz, can you walk us through
This price
what kind
area.
of like due diligence you do when you're investigating new tokens and what kind of things you incorporate into your decision making?
Yep, of course. So with pesto, I kind of started kind of trading it early on, and I feel like if you've made a few pools on a coin, you kind of get kind of a feel for it, and where it's kind of bouncing and stuff. But with Pesto, it kind of originated where my process starts. It's kind of a derivative that came after the Mudeng coin, which I mean we've all seen. But it's kind of also traded on its own. It's not followed the pattern exactly. And a lot of the other coins that followed on from Mudeng have kind of all died off except Pesto. So it's already shown that, there you can clearly see there's a lot of buyers stepping in at certain points, keeping the coin alive. And also, if
Yeah.
you do click on the Twitter tab, I mean, just having a quick look over it, you can, see it's a active account and there's people tweeting about it. And, they're all positive signs to see.
Yeah, maybe we can take a look at the Twitter actually. So the Twitter account that was provided in the contract, right? When Pesto launched, or that was in the pump fund when it launched, right? Is this profile here, which I checked before, and it looks a bit weird because their most recent post was like 2 years ago, I believe. Yeah. So this
Weird.
is the Twitter.
There's also
Pesto Baby Peng.
Okay, let me search for it. Pesto baby. Pang or Pang?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
it's really
Hey.
cool seeing how these community tokens like self-promote and self-aggregate.
Mm,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it is. This stuff's wild. Bob, there's a question out here that maybe you want to take on. Why do we let our positions run for days on these memes? We know they're more likely to dip hard. Case in point, the this guy named Drew shared last time. It aligned with his strategy and generated lots of profits and fees, but dipped to give a huge IL. Really think we should LP in line with the specified strategy and get out before things go south. So, the explanation, why we let them run for days, what's the thought process there?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I think the proper answer is we need to segregate memes into various categories. So we have the high market cap memes like Popcat and With and Mishi. So as you increase in market cap and you increase in the amount of liquidity provided to those coins, you decrease in your potential fee generation, but you're also going to decrease in the price volatility. So as liquidity increases, the amount of volatility that occurs when someone buys or sells also decreases. So theoretically, you're decreasing your risk. If you have like $1 million or $2 million in liquidity on a coin and someone dumps 10K, the price might only move 0.1 or 0.2%, versus if someone dumps 10K or 20K into Pesto, you might see a 5 to 10% drop. So with something like WDog, because I'm going to use WDog, I think it's a good example, but it's a larger market cap meme coin. There's more liquidity, so that protects us from price volatility. And then we also see that like really consistent range. And so that's something where we're probably only going to earn between 2 to 5% per day. And in order to accumulate a larger amount of profit, we need to hold that position for an extended period of time. Whereas with something like Pesto or some of the other newer, smaller meme coins, you might only hold that position for 30 minutes or a few hours. For instance, I did an LP on UNC yesterday and it had peaked at like 1 million. I did like a 10 or 15% range and it moved in and out of my range one time. I earned like 15 or 20% and I closed for a profit. And so we're trying to create more content and create more examples of some of these short-term plays. Sometimes holding an LP for 1 to 2 hours is like the right thing, and then you need to close. And so that's a great question. And we're going to try and create some more content explaining some of these shorter term positions. Yusuf, Raz, if you guys have anything to add, please share.
Yeah, I think you mentioned some very good factors for determining or for how to determine whether if a coin is reliable or safe, right? One factor that is also very important to keep in mind is the is how long has this coin been on the market, right? Podcat has been here for like a year almost, I believe. Same goes with me. I'm not sure about Mishi, but yeah, all those other high cap meme coins with, for instance, they've been around for a very long time. They're listed on very big exchanges, and so okay, so Yeah, so Peso is dumping right now for some reason. But yeah, they're listed on many big exchanges and so on, right? WDoc has also been alive for like 2 months now and has been thriving within that 10 million to 20 million range, which is quite bullish for a meme coin because we all know that 2 months is actually quite a long time for meme coin. So that is why we would rather do a long-term position on WDoc than a long-term position on Pesto, for instance, because Pesto has only been alive for the last 5 days, and yeah, it's way more volatile, not that reliable, and so on.
I think
Wh-
another
wh-
factor of coins which you can kind of classify as a bit safer is they all have at some point early on kind of a big run up. They'll hit a certain market cap, then they'll have quite a big pullback that can be maybe over 50%, but then they always recover kind of midway between it or all the way, and then they start ranging again.
What I think is interesting is the change in dynamic here, because LPing, because I used to LP out on Ethereum chain, and it really was a long-term commitment, right? If you wanted to make any profit, you had to be in it for the long haul. And so you had to really choose wisely. I mean, never mind offsetting your impermanent losses, you had to offset the damn gas fees just to get in it. And I mean, you needed to have fat bags to get there. So it's like LPing for a couple hours or a day is like, no, you're in this for the long haul. And so it's changed the dynamic. I think it's really cool. But someone else asked a question, and whether you answer this now or later, that's fine. And I think Razor would be a great one because he did just put out an X post covering this so well. He said, I made an LP with a meme coin and it went up. So I was 100% sold. Now I'm wondering if I should bet that the meme coin will go down next, since big jumps can often lead to big drops. Obviously, yes, it's a meme coin, it's going to go down at some point. But the risk is that if I'm wrong, I could turn my win into a loss, even with the extra fees I got. Yes, that is indeed the game. But I mean, we're leading into the whole managing impermanent loss or divergent loss. And rather, I know you did a great X post about this very thing. I don't know if you want to answer this now or later, you'll want to stay on track, but
Let's
I think
let's
this is a
finish up
good
our
point.
LP positions, and then we're gonna give Raz the entire spotlight to talk more about that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fine.
the short answer is if you booked a W, probably lock it in. It's never a bad idea to lock it
To be
in.
honest, yeah, I agree.
Raz, I have a question for you though. You had just talked about how with some of these larger caps, you'll see a big retrace and a floor essentially being created. What's like the trading psychology behind that floor, and like why is it so relevant, and why do those things occur?
Honestly, I'm not totally sure. But I don't know, just you kind of notice it on most coins. They very early on all these coins which end up ranging for a while, like W Dog. There's a they kind of the focus of crypto Twitter for a while, and they get overextended a bit. And as fast as they rise up, they also have that big drawdown. And yeah, and then the smart buyers come in and you kind of form that range.
One thing
But
that's relevant is that like so meme coins, like a lot of meme coin traders are hyper emotional people who kind of like YOLO money into these random things on the internet. And what happens is they create this kind of like narrative in their own mind that says W dog or Meteor or so and so, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go up. And so what essentially that's doing is you're creating a percentage of the holders of the coin that are high conviction holders. And so they've made the decision that they're going to hold on to this meme coin until it's worth $10 billion or something like that. And so with new coins, the majority of your holders are going to be people who are looking to generate a short-term profit. And that's because like this new coin has just been created. Most new meme coins will fade to zero, and so they don't have the internal stimuli to hold on to it for a longer period of time. You also want to factor in external stimuli or external portions of the narrative, like so and so as a big holder called this and is a buyer. And so we now think that he's going to support the coin. So as coins hold for longer periods of time, you get a larger percentage of the holders that turn into high conviction holders. And they're the ones that when the coin drops 10 or 15%, they don't sell because they're like, oh, it's just going to go back up. That's kind of like what's happening when we're seeing these price floors being created.
Much better explained than me.
Yeah, let's take another look at pesto and let's talk about how we want to do this. So I know Yusuf, you had mentioned that you kind of are interested in this short-term range, and I think that could do really well. But I also think we need to respect the potential downside and put the larger percentage of our bag in the more conservative play.
I
And then
agree.
I also want to task you with creating a strategy for if and when our short-term play goes below our range. How do we rebalance that, and how do we kind of incorporate that into our longer term strategy?
Okay, cool. So you're talking about what lower range? The
Just those two lines. So we have our kind of like our short term, our most recent lows, and we
Yeah.
can create a tight range there. But then we also need to respect the possibility of it going below that range, and how we would
exactly.
take that capital and incorporate it into our kind of longer term strategy.
Yeah, okay. I agree. First of all, I agree on putting a larger percentage of the capital into this or a smaller percentage of the capital into the this range here, right? Because it's a low cap coin. It could very much dip a lot more within a very short period of time. So for this small range position, I would honestly go one-sided with Seoul down to this big support area that Pesto has been bouncing off on for the past 2 days. And when if it goes to like 1-3, 1-3-2, 1-3-5, I even think 1-3-5 might be a good spot, right? So around so around 1-1-3, if price was to go at in 2-1-3, I would probably just rebalance and make a new position, a new spot position with all of our pesto to our old range, right? Which would be 1-5-2. So if price was to go like this, I rebalance, put all of our pesto, or like in this smaller position, put all of it and make like a spot position all the way up to the current price. For
And
the
you're wanting to do a bid ask on the way down, correct?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think we could do a mix between spot and bid ask. It's not that wide of a range, so we could very much just do like a mix between spot and bid ask to further increase the fee generation.
So essentially, with this thesis, what we're hoping is we see price dump to that recent low, and then we essentially pick up a big bag down at that bottom, while also hopefully getting some really nice volatility. And then we can swap it around and resell that as price increases.
Exactly. So for so that's the first thesis, right? The first idea. Now say price didn't want to respect this support area, right? Say price went like this. It went down here and then it went like this, and then it just went further down, right? I think we should have a stop loss for this position here, which could be like here, right? If price was to break 119, I think we could pretty much just swap all of our pesto into Seoul and put that Seoul into the larger range position.
What do you think?
So yeah,
Hey guys, I got to bounce for a bit. But good stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what Razor's got on these. But I'll pop back in later. Y'all take care.
Thanks,
yeah.
Heavy.
Have a good day, Heavy.
Raz, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. So I think definitely some form of bid ask, maybe some spot, depending on if we're going for that narrow range. I think a bid ask is good. If we had a curve from kind of your the current price, wherever what it's at, and down to your kind of bottom line, I think that would fit in the main pool. I think that would be, I'd probably use a spot with a bid ask on top. But yeah, I agree with, I think the stop loss, like, so that support line has been, I guess, tested, I guess once mainly, but these are meme coins, and once they start falling, there can be no bottom. But I would imagine on this coin there would be some bounces within kind of the range that we've marked out, even in that lower range. I would definitely think there would be buying on the lower support, which would definitely make a positive position. I think that's where I've got set up right now.
So I actually kind of disagree with our stop loss because I think with where it is now, we have a high probability of hitting that and closing at a loss, but then seeing some kind of bounce. So what I would want to do is I would want to just hold that bag and rebalance and add it to our overall larger position.
Mm.
I think we see a good chance of a bounce occurring there. And if we were to close with our stop loss, we're guaranteeing ourselves a loss, and we're losing out on the opportunity cost of seeing some kind of reversal.
Yeah, we could alternatively just further decrease the stop loss to this low wick here.
Would you
What do you
still
think
go
about
with the
that?
narrower range for the pool though?
So I kind of like putting one tight range, kind of like where Yusuf has described it, with a small percentage of our bag, hoping we catch a bunch of volatility, but then having our overall larger macro position as a bid ask going to our lower support. And so,
Mm.
like, if our tight range ends up being a false hypothesis, then we can just add that to our overall capital as pesto on the top side, which gives
Yeah.
us like the ability to catch more fees in that range. But then the majority of our capital is still allocated to the lower range, allowing us to essentially DCA in further and decrease our average entry price.
Yeah. And also on the way down, I mean, looking at this, you would imagine using the bid ask, most of the volume would be around those two key support levels, which we would
Exactly.
be hoping to capture. Because you can
Mm.
kind of see it already. When the price rises, most of the volume is near the top. And when you have those big wicks down, you want to have the most majority of your soul hoping to catch that.
Yeah.
I wanna grab screen share real quick and share one thing about the price that I think is relevant. So when I'm doing these bid ask trying to catch a retrace, I as I'm sure y'all know by now, I really like the fib sequence, but I really like going past the 786. And so I think this is exactly what you were designating, Yusuf. But we have this support here, and it's going to give us the 786 usually does a pretty good job of functioning as a support level. But when we go past it with our bid ask, we're essentially like giving ourselves a bit more room to play with if we see a further dump. So like I have my line here at 8.4. Maybe we could go even down to like 8.0 as the bottom of our bid ask for our macro range. And then I really like respecting this, our most recent short-term low, as the bottom for our smaller, tighter range.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good idea.
All right, let's go for it. You guys want to do an 80-20 split with 20 in our small and then 80% in our larger play?
Yeah, we could. We
What
could
do you, what do
also
you think, Yusuf?
nah, okay, so to be honest, it might sound ridiculous, but I think 15% into the so just a 5% difference, right?
Oh,
So
sure.
50% into the small range position and the rest into the bigger range position.
What's your thoughts behind that? Are you just wanting to be a bit more conservative and protect
Yeah, I just want
capital?
to be a little more conservative in case price, dumps a lot because
Well,
it might do.
one one thing that I think is really relevant to mention is that even if we do see IL on this short-term play, we're getting really good fee generation with Pesto. the volume's not impeccable, but if you look at these other charts, we're doing like 15 to 20% on the 24-hour. And so we should see a lot of fee generation to offset it. I'd love to have you, Yusuf, and Razor do a little discussion on our pool choice, and we can kind of decide which pool we want to enter into.
Yeah. So I guess I can start then. Yeah, so for the lower range position, right? For the smaller range position, I think we could go with the pool that has the most amount of the lowest spin step, right? And that is the pool and the lowest fee. So that is the pool with the most amount of liquidity. I think that's reasonable for the low range position. I would honestly also consider putting our liquidity or our bigger position into that same pool simply because it has most amount of liquidity. And generally, it's a very good rule. Generally, you want to provide liquidity into pools that has the most amount of or the highest TVL because yeah, there are many reasons for that. But yeah.
What do you think, Raz?
Yeah, I think if let's say we entered at 2.3 million, I would probably say if we were going for a wide pool, we would have wanted the 125 bin step because we'd have probably needed that to reach the kind of lower support level we chose. But because the price is already at 2.1 million, I do agree there does seem to only be two main pools, and that main pesto pool does seem to be getting the majority of the fees. And we can also see if we do actually look at it, a lot of the liquidity in it is also a little bit higher up.
Oh, that's good.
So I really like the 100 bin step 5% pool. And the reason why I like that is because we're going to do 2.5x on our fee generation, assuming the same amount of volume. And our thesis is we're going to see price decreasing. And so because of that, we're going to see the requisite volatility to really activate our pool. So what we can do is we can split up our position a little bit and put some in both and do a little bit of a comparison. I think both Yusuf and Raz, you made a really good point that we see a big, essentially, liquidity vacuum here at the lower range that's really advantageous for us. But when you're getting like 2.5x in your fee generation from the 2% to the 5%, I think that's a factor that we should really pay attention to.
I agree.
I saw Yusuf sigh. But we should
Yeah,
do some
I
in
mean,
both. We should do some
I
in
agree,
both.
dude. But I think the volume that you will be doing is like would only be our volume because there is so much liquidity in the or there's way more liquidity. Let me put it that way in the main pool than in the five. It also depends on how much, or like how much are we putting into pesto?
I want to do like 40 soul and maybe a bit more because like I think that we have really good feed generation potential. I think that we're getting in at a pretty good entry point, whereas like the price has already decreased a lot. And I think that it's one reason that I really like this, and Raz was talking about this earlier, but Pesto has shown that it's not going to die right now. And it's tied to Mudang, which is like essentially like the most hyped coin in the soul space over the last 2 weeks. So I do think that we see continued price action with this. Because normally like a beta coin will like it went to 1 million and then it would die off, but this went from 1 million to 400,000 and then up to 3 million. So I think it has more price ranging before it goes to nothing, if it does go to nothing.
Yep. Yeah, but why would you choose the 5% pool instead of the
Specifically
2%?
because we're getting 2.5x on our fee generation. So
Okay.
with the 5% pool, we'll see fewer trades and more infrequent trades, but I don't think we'll see 2.5x less volume. That's my thesis. But we should do both pools and test. That is most essentially the correct answer.
Yeah, we can try and do that.
I am rather confident that I'm correct, but I will humbly admit my invalidation of my thesis if we're shown otherwise. I think like because we're trying to catch a big volatile down move, I think we see a lot of volatility moving into that pool. Whereas I think the times that I'm incorrect is when we range trade, and you'll see far less volume because you're not getting that 5% price move that's required for those trades to become correct from like a price standpoint.
Mm. Yeah.
So are you
I
thinking
see,
of
I haven't
actually
convinced you.
splitting our deposit into two identical curves in the different pools?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
always down for experiments.
Yeah,
Always good.
that's one of the best things about these jams is we get the opportunity to test hypotheses and learn in that manner. So let's go ahead and open it. Yusuf, do you want to give me the numbers for the small play? And then I
Yeah.
think what I'd like to do is for our smaller position, we just do the 2% pool because I don't think my 5% pool will work there. Maybe okay, maybe we just do both. I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
To be honest, dude, like, okay, so what do you think about doing the like for the 5% pool, right? What do you think about making the range a little narrower? Because I think I genuinely don't think it would be yeah, I think it would be smarter if we for the 5% pool, if we simply chose a narrower range, because it usually makes sense if there is a lot of volume to go with those high percentages pools, right? And we know that when prices go to those support areas, we can expect higher volume and more volatility. So what do you think about that?
I think that's very interesting. So what I want to test is I want to test our large range comparing the 2% to the 5%, but I also really like the idea of doing a tight range in the 5% pool at our resistance levels, hoping to catch a move in and out, because that's something that could perform very, very well if we get the right price action.
Yeah. Okay.
Raz, what do you think?
So I completely zoned out for a second there.
Okay, go ahead and rewind the chat for Raz.
Was it just the 2% for the narrower position, then 5 on the wider?
We're gonna do a couple different experiments. So I think we should set up the 2% pool for the narrow position that Yusuf described. We're gonna do an experiment with the 2% and 5% over a price range and see how those compare. And then we're also gonna do a pretty tight range with the 5% at that short term or that most recent low right here, seeing if we can catch price moving in and out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because with 5%, obviously it performs the best when the coin is very volatile. Because that's when you're going to capture the most fees, because you do need those larger price movements, preferably in a short amount of time. And we can see, when it did hit that low point, there was quite a quick, high volume wick, maybe, when it dropped. And that is when the 5% performs best. So, I mean, yeah, that'd definitely be interesting. I'm not sure how that will perform, but
We'll check back in a few hours and see. So Yusuf, when you have a second, please give me your range for the short-term play. And then we're just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of soul into this. I'm gonna go with 1-2. I'll do 128 to 104. And so this is actually a really great example of how we can use short-term positions to really catch volatility. Yusuf, do you think this is too much? Too wide of a range? I thought it was going to be more than that, but it's like a 15%. That's so wild. All right, we're going to go for it. I'm just going to put 4 soul here. I'll do 5 soul. So nothing too crazy.
I think just another thing to consider. I mean, you can't know now, but sometimes the coin slowly grinds down to that position, and
Yeah.
the 5% wouldn't have been utilized as well as it could be, and it that opportunity might happen a bit lower. It's quite hard to tell at this kind of stage.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of play would
So-
work out well.
So my mic is back now. I was talking to myself. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So you chosen wrong ranges or wrong limits, Hayden.
What do you mean?
I was thinking, so what I was
This is
presenting was
my
that,
experiment. This is my little mini experiment.
oh, okay, sorry, Matt. Wait, my bad. I thought you were talking about the limits that I presented.
No, I was just setting up. So I created a tight range trying to catch this volatility here with our
Ah, okay.
5%. And then now what I'll do is we'll set up the position for the small range on the 2% pool.
Okay, cool. So for the small range, I got the limits already.
Okay, talk to me.
Someone asked when is the next boot camp in the chat section, and the answer to that is that it will be next month. We recently had a boot camp this last weekend. That was yesterday and at Saturday. So the next boot camp will likely be in 1 month from now on. So that's around 30 days. Okay, so the limits for the small small range position is current price to so the lower range or low limit is 128.
Oh, that's such a tight range.
Yeah, it's actually pretty tight.
Oh, I think we have to go lower than that, Yusuf. Because why? Like, you think this is where I think we should go a little bit lower, just being completely honest. Because like if you see this last one, we saw this big wick down all the way to 114. And so I'd like to bring our range a little bit lower.
Wait, let me check. Yeah, exactly. So the weight that you're talking about right now, right, is like if you go wider, right? If you check some of the past bounces that Pesto has had from 128, you see that it's a bit higher, right? Compared to the last week that you're talking about. So that was what I was, basing the
I
the
think we need to respect this more recent support level with more like value than the previous support levels.
yeah, we can decrease it. So what were you thinking? 1.2?
Like 114.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I think that's too low. I don't know. What do you think, Raz?
Yeah, I would set it, I think, a bit lower. What was the second option? 114 or
114.
what was the other one? Sorry.
119. So or 1.2.
Let's see. Um, so they're both quite close to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
they're quite close actually.
we can just split the difference, Yusuf, if you want to go right in the middle.
Yeah, let's do that.
Go to 117.
Mm.
I think especially when you're trying to catch retraces, it's usually better to have more room on the bottom than less because
I
of
agree.
the potential of price dumping.
I agree.
All right, so
Yeah.
Yusuf, how do we manage this and how do we exit it? With our hypothesis is we're going to catch a bounce there. So how do we want to go in and out of this?
I'd rather do a bid ask for this one actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll swap that out for you.
Okay. So because essentially the reason for why I want to do a bid ask is that we can swap all the pesto or like once the position goes out of range, if it goes out of range, we'll be able to swap all that pesto and make a spot position all the way back up to our current price. And then we'll be able to lock in some profits from divergence loss as well.
I like it. All right, so this is like a really common LPing strategy for y'all who are kind of newer. Essentially, what we're doing is two different things. The first is we're trying to catch fee generation over our range, but really a lot of our gains are going to come from picking up a large bag of tokens down where we think the price is going to bottom at, and then reselling them by switching to the spot option and selling them as price increases.
Yeah.
So for our main position, I want to go with our bottom at 8-0. Uh, and then I want to do the bid ask. I want to do 20 soul on each. And so I might do like, I think what I'd like to do is like 3 soul of that 20 in spot, just so we have like a little bit more fee generation over time, with the majority being in a bid ask, giving us that kind of like safety cushion at the lower end. What do you guys think?
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable idea, to be honest. If like, so we're putting how much in total for this position here?
20 in each, so we're doing 40 soul total. It's kind of like a big position, but I think it's gonna pay off.
Yeah.
It's also
That's
just
also a good
above
strategy.
the 1 million market cap, I'd imagine. I'll have to go and see. Or pretty close.
Raz,
Yeah.
I think this might be an excellent opportunity to segue into your discussion of managing impermanent loss. How do we navigate this position and make sure that we protect ourselves from too much IL?
Yeah. So I mean, we're already kind of managed in that we're not buying any tokens. So I mean, as soon as you buy tokens, you're opening yourself up to a lot more potential gains, but also if you do drop to the bottom of your range, you've lost out all the value of the tokens you bought as well. So I mean, we're instantly already, avoiding that. And we're using a bid ask as well, which means, even in the top, I know, half of our curve, not a lot of our soul will be swapped out. And I mean, we're hoping that, we do get most of the price action near the bottom, which I would expect with something like this. And especially around, it's around that bottom support level and that support. That even if we did drop and bounce once, kind of halfway, I would imagine that our fees would completely offset, even if we sold kind of mid curve. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really hope that someone out there in the internet space will create simulators, because like being able to know exactly how much price has to retrace in order to offset your IL would be
Yeah.
very, very cool. I would like
Yeah. But
to
I mean,
have
super
that.
often, like, the coin's already retraced. We've hit we're at a key level right now. It might go back up, but if it does go down, we would probably expect it to go up at some point, hopefully around the main bit of our liquidity. But normally, even with one bounce, even if you do sell in the middle, very often you will be in profit, which it's one of the great things about Meteora.
Yeah. It's almost like bumper guards for meme coin trading.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
Well,
we haven't really touched on it as well, but what do you normally do with the fees? Because
that's a good question. So on short-term plays with a really high volume, I like to compound my fees to increase my total capital. With longer term plays, sometimes what I'll do, like if say we're going into this pesto position and we range down and I'm expecting a retrace, I like to bid ask my pesto or the meme coin on the way up, and I like to keep the soul as a way to protect gains. Um, Sometimes if I'm doing a two-sided position and I'm getting some of the meme coin and the price is at a high price point, I'll go ahead and sell off the meme at that price to lock in more gains. And then also sometimes if the price is decreasing, sometimes I'll also lock in the price gains at that point by selling the memes. It really depends on the price action that I'm seeing and like how I'm doing with fee generation.
yeah, so yeah, I agree. Because like also what you do with your fees can have a big impact on if you're profitable or not with your, managing IL. Because if you do hold them all and don't sell any and it goes down, it goes back up, then it goes back down, you might, take a bit of a loss. But if you did sell, you can generate maybe sometimes 20-30% fees on the way down. And if you sell at the right point on the way up. So what I normally do is, being super safe is kind of when the price starts dropping, if it does go up a bit, it's just claim them and sell them. And then you're locking in maybe a few percent. And then once again, if it does go lower and then it bounces a bit higher, selling them again. But obviously, you're going to miss out on upside as well.
Yo,
Doing that.
check out how our W dog is doing. Would you ever believe that we'd be getting 12% on a W dog position?
Is it actually?
Yeah, look, I've got it on screen. So this is the really tight range. And so we've seen good price action, but it's showing 12% on the day. And so like this is a really good example where I'll pull up the W dog chart, but with a coin like this, when we're expecting price to range, I would keep the fees or I'd add them to our top range with the intent of selling them at the top end of a range. But like most specifically, like if we get this like thesis that we're expecting and price comes up here, I'm 100% closing my LP and waiting for price to fluctuate because this pump right here might give me like a 10 to 15% gain. Whereas if I try and hold it over time, I might lose all of that IL, but gain like 3 to 4% over the day in fee generation. So it's one thing where you have to like really pay attention to price action and keep in mind that we are also trading in addition to LPing because you don't want to round trip and like lose off that 10 to 15% in exchange to 3 to 4% in fee generation.
Yeah, definitely agree. And you can always, buy back at if it does hit
Exactly.
support and you think it's going to come back up.
So what's the last coin that we were looking at? Was it Wawa or Meetang? I want to check Moodang just because I'm curious to
Yeah.
see what's going on.
I mean, Moodang's quite interesting. It's been in a quite tight range for a while. It's been in looks like about 15% range for you know, quite a lot of hours.
I feel like Moodang goes to 200 million, to be honest.
Six to
So this is what I think. When I see this formation, this is an accumulation pattern. As we're talking, it goes up like 2%.
yeah,
So
7,000 buy.
this is an accumulation pattern. And so there's two things that could happen here. The price is going to move. When you see something with this volume range trading, it's either going up or going down. I think it goes down here because we're seeing a decrease in volume. If you see an accumulation pattern like this, along with an uptick in volume, you better leverage your freaking house and buy a bag and hold on for that breakout. Because like what volume increases along with accumulation means you have buyers that are like offsetting the sellers, but this new increase in volume is going to cause a breakout formation. But when you see accumulation like this, essentially what happens here is we're seeing continued sell pressure being offset by buyers, but as volume stays the same or decreases relative to how it was in the past, usually that sell pressure eventually overwhelms because these new buyers, a portion of them are going to start selling because they're not getting the profits or the gains that they were expecting in conjunction with the ongoing sell pressure that we're seeing here. So, but I like my long term, like, for honestly, I think Mudang is like 200 million in the long term, just because, like, actually, this is crazy. It used to have 20K holders and now it's only 10,000. So that's really, really interesting. But I'd love to hear what you guys think and also chime in.
I think it's a tough one. Like, I think there's quite a lot of people that are bullish on it. I mean, as clearly seen, and but you could have also set an LP in that tight range, and what you do is as soon as it drops out the bottom, you just sell all straight away, because I imagine the fees are quite high in that kind of accumulation zone where it either breaks up or down. So I think there's a few plays you could do, but I mean the higher risk is always going to be buying some and hoping it goes up. But
I,
I do agree. I think it could go higher at some point.
I really like doing a small tight range position just as a way to show people this. And then, as you said, Raz, if we see a breakdown below this, we just close the position. Um,
Yeah, because you wouldn't be taking that much of a loss with your position. You'd be literally a few percent, but the fees you can generate in that range, I can massively offset it.
so I'm looking at 323 to 285. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, because you're not trying to go as wide. You're trying to just get a narrow range which hopefully captures all the volume there.
Yusuf, have you posted the form?
Actually, I was about to say that I'll post it, but I just wanted you guys to finish the position in mooting.
Yeah, so we're doing another Google form today. The main reason for this is to give people the chance to offer feedback, but also, so I mentioned this at the beginning of the jam. We're trying to find ways that we can reward attendance and also give people the opportunity to earn a little bit of money to LP with if they don't have that chance. And we just have a question in there that is like an open discussion for people to share ideas. So our goals are to get the LP army to 10K by the end of the year. And then we also want to get some of the big meme coin KOLs onboarded. Some of the things that I was thinking about is we could set up community raids where people earn little micro bags of soul for raiding KOLs. And then we can also reward people for like engagement on Twitter and helping retweet stuff and promote our posts so that we get more reach. But we want to hear what you guys think and give everyone the opportunity to share ideas and just kind of like pitch us on how we can get the community more involved and engaged.
Exactly. There is a concrete and specific question within the form that asks how you guys want to be rewarded for attending these LP Jam sessions, because it is very important for us. And you know, we did like several jams ago, we did just reward you guys for attending, right, and posting your wallets. But we simply found out that that wasn't a reasonable strategy, because ultimately we could end up with people just getting their bots or whatever, posting mass wallets, and that's not really the goal of the LP Jam sessions at all. We want to reward you guys. We don't want to reward people that are just mass posting different wallets. So we will really appreciate, you know, whatever thoughts that we receive on that specific part, because obviously we want to reward you guys as well.
So let's talk about how we could do, and I don't think we necessarily need to open this, but I want to talk about how we could do a more like long-term macro position on Mooding. I think it's been such like a great opportunity for LPing over the past few weeks. And to me, like I would love to see like a big price retrace so we could get a better entry. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on how you could LP this if you were taking like a 3 to 5 day position.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I've just posted the form in the chat section, so you guys can enter it now and submit your ideas and thoughts. So back to what Hayden asked. To be honest, you can probably already hear what my thoughts are on muting. I think it will dump.
Why? Why? Bro, don't hate on
mean,
don't hate on the move.
Nah, I don't hate on it, bro. I'm just looking at the chart, man. It has pumped a lot, dude. So that's pretty much my thoughts alone.
I'm so bullish on Mooding long term. I'm so bullish on it long term. The
Yeah,
main
maybe.
reason, so this was the first time that I've seen a meme coin connected to a really viral internet trend. And so if you look at the non-crypto related Moodang posts, they were getting shouted out by like, or they got shouted out by Microsoft. They got shouted out by like the Washington Redskins or whatever, or the Commanders. And so there's so much like normie attention on Moodang that it has created a lot of hype around it. But I also think to try and go bullish on it right now is probably irresponsible given the recent price action going from 10 to 50 million or more than that. I think it was like 60 million total in the past like 2 to 3 days. Well, what do you think, Raz, about like if we were to try and LP this for a week, how would you do it and how would you do it profitably?
Damn. So, I mean, I think the best play if you were doing Mudeng would be a small range for now. But if you were to go wide, I mean, I would go. I'm not sure what the main bin steps of the pools are, but you probably want to be going, I don't know, down to maybe 20. I'd think 30% maybe. or it looks like the level below that would be down almost 42%. There seems to be that kind of
Mm,
range between 30 and 42.
I've been
I kind
watching
of agree.
I've been watching the chart over time, and I saw people freaking ripping like 10 and 20K buys into Mooding when it was really popping off. Like it was just going freaking nuts, dude. Um, I like I want price to dump so I can get a good re-entry into the position.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think it dumps too much though.
yeah, I agree. I don't think like I think maybe I feel like this is going to be like FWOG where it ranges for a while and then it just pumps. That's honestly what I think. But
Yeah, I, I think that's a good comparison, to be honest.
yeah,
Like it really is, because I remember Frog, right? Like when we were looking at it, it had also had this like very recent pump,
yeah,
but it just seemed to go up further.
just up, up, up.
Yeah,
And
it
this
was literally just up.
this will be so chat. If you can accurately predict what Mudang will be in 1 week, we'll give the closest guess 0.5 soul. Mark it down. You gotta go on our Twitter posts from this and go ahead and put your guesses. And we'll give the winner the closest 1 week from now, next week's LP Jam, half a soul. So that's the
Yeah,
first way to earn a little mini bag.
and well, I think we need to mention the like what price we're talking about, if it's against Sol or USD.
We'll just do market cap, overall market cap
Okay,
1 week
cool.
from now.
Yeah, so post the market cap of the coins under the Twitter post, and yeah.
And make sure you retweet it and tell your friends so we get lots of engagement. That's sweet. Let's take a look
Yeah,
at Wawa because we got a couple of people in chat saying they want us to.
exactly, yeah. JP wanted us to take a look at Wawa and try to analyze it.
Oh, this is another like up only coin. I'm so inexperienced at trading and LPing these well. So maybe Raz and Yusuf, you guys have some more thoughts. Um,
I think, yeah, Ras can go ahead. Just
Yep. So I mean, it looks like it's coming down a bit now, but yeah. So I kind of first made a little pool at around 600K, but and it quickly went out of that, and then I kind of ended up, entering in this kind of upper range right where it is right now. Uh, there was kind of a few factors that made me want to go in, which weren't necessarily to do with, that it's at an all-time high, but kind of looking at the volume it was getting, with how much was in the Meteora pools, which kind of was a good combination, which I like if it ranged for even a short amount of time, my fees would be worth it. Uh, and also at that level at around the lower support, there was quite a lot of buyers at that point, and it also seemed that I think Wawa. I mean, for the short term, I can't speak long term on something like this, but you know, it captured the attention of people on Twitter quite quickly, and it also from that a few of the meme KOLs started tweeting it as well, which helped. But looking at the volume, you can see it says 4.2 million right now. I think it was also around, it was a bit higher yesterday as well, but also the amount in the Meteora pools was a lot lower. So right now, it looks to be around, let me see, 50,000. But if we go back to comparing it to Pesto, Pesto had is a lower market cap, similar ratio of volume to the market cap, but has almost double inside the pool. So, and also ignoring right now, but this coin has been fairly volatile, but in the range it has been in as well. So it's kind of a good combination that made me want to go into it. I mean, it's tough to know how much more upside something like Wawa could have. I would think that if we do go back to that lower support, it would bounce back up, is what I'm thinking. And it could potentially go up to that 5 million or break up, but it's quite hard to say early on something like this on a
yeah,
meme.
I
yeah,
think the 5 million point is a pretty psychological barrier, which is why we see like a decent sell off here.
Yeah.
um, Yeah, I think we need to keep in mind that it launched like 2 days ago and it's already at 3.6 million.
Are
I
you bullish on
mean,
Wawa, Yusuf?
no, like, dude, I'm never bullish.
Yusuf is the eternal bear.
I
Yeah.
am.
So yeah, I did. I mean, it's always tough buying tokens if you're trying to be as like safe as possible. Because
Mm,
as soon as you start buying and the price drops, that's when you can actually start taking bigger losses.
Yeah.
So, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, if you're, looking at from risk management, you would go one-sided now, probably some bit a kind of bid ask, not too long, but that would probably be a more safe approach. Because if as soon as you buy tokens, hoping that maybe it goes back up to the current all-time high, I mean, you have to look what's your potential gain and what happens if it does fall back down.
I kind of like doing a big bid ask using this bottom here as our lower range. And what I would do is I would take a smaller position and do a spot, like maybe from here to here. And this is going to give us fee generation over time. Because we're like usually you see a lot of up and down chop here, but then like I really like we see a shit ton of buys here at this level, and then essentially once again like bouncing slightly above this, and we could do like a multi-day bid ask with like I would go a little bit lower down to like here, like 1.415, and keeping that as our bottom range. Um, I kind of want to open a small position with this just as like a test. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. To be honest, I think that is a good range you've chosen as well. Not gonna lie. Also, wanted to mention that after we open a position here, let's bring Ishak on as a panelist because he wants to present Snoopy, and we can definitely allocate some soul towards such a position. As Hayden mentioned in the beginning of the jam session.
Yeah.
He
Morg
just
is
raised
also
his
a bit
hand.
of a retrace.
What was that, Ren?
Snoopy?
Oh, sorry. How do you say it? FWOG is
Oh
also
yeah.
a pretty key level as well right now.
Ooh, so correct. I wanna buy some F-Log. I
I never
want
know
Okay,
how to
so
say it.
so Hayden, Ishak has raised his hand if you could invite him on.
I will 1 second. I'm gonna open this first.
Okay.
I feel like hopefully we get a good week with Soul and price action, but like it's bro, we could really crush it this week if we get some good price action with Soul. So
I agree.
I'm gonna go from 188 to actually I'll go 187 to 140. In this, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna let it chill. And I just want to see uh how much in fee generation we can get over the course of a few days. Um, and then I'll put the majority of our liquidity in a bid ask, trying to catch that bottom. We see a really big sell off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we do see a big sell-off, having maybe some sort of small range lower down or just buying spot at the key levels is I think is what I would do. Because I mean, I feel like it will rise back up.
So when I'm doing a bid ask on a coin where we have a big amount of downtrend still left, whoops. What I like to do is I don't start my bid ask all the way up here because we're essentially just bagging IL all the way down. So I would go somewhere from like really from like here and do my bid ask down so that we're trying to essentially accumulate fees and coins in this range because everything up here, like it's tough to get all the way back up here again. And we're just losing on IL if we're so
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the way which your risk is just lowered so much. Because there's people that have bought higher and there's people waiting for entries at these lower points. And you're getting the majority of the fees anyway. And on my series, that is the way I've made the majority of my
Really?
soul is waiting, not top lasting, waiting for it to top out. and waiting for it to go into that kind of lower range below. And you'll often miss out on if it goes to the support where you're hoping to enter and it goes back up, but you're not losing out on anything. You are missing out on potential gains, but you're not losing out, and there's plenty of other coins.
Yes. I think the biggest thing for me in improving my trading is having the patience and discipline to not take bad trades, knowing that there will always be another good opportunity that occurs.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how quickly things change as well in the memes.
All right.
Oh,
Ishak,
wow. Mudang has gone up.
it just ripped right after we said it's going to go down in price. That's the classic LP Army move. We make a thesis and then price does the exact opposite of what we expected it to do. All right, guys, I'm going to bring Ishak up as a panelist. If anyone else in attendance, I'm guessing Drew wants to talk as well because he got his hand raised. We're going to kind of hand it over to you guys. I'm going to be gone for a few minutes. I'm going to run to the bathroom and then we can open up some petitions for them. And then if one more audience member wants to join, go ahead and drop a comment in chat and then raise your hand and we'll bring you up.
All right, cool. So Ishak, you're on now. You're welcome to present your analysis. You can try and share a screen if you're on laptop. If you're not on laptop, I can share my screen. Or actually, I can't because Hayden didn't forgot to close off his screen share. But yeah, okay. So we'll have. Okay, so I guess Ishak, you could try to open your mic and tell us what you think about Snoopy.
Hello guys, how are you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good.
Okay, so I've been looking at this I've been looking for good LP opportunity over the last few days, and considering the recent narrative around what Binance did by supporting community tokens like the Nairo CTO. Are you getting me?
Yeah, we're hearing, yeah.
Okay, so that has brought a lot of attention to tokens that are community owned. We've seen the spike in the price of tokens like Billy and a lot of other tokens like that, even on WDog and the rest of them. So I'm looking at tokens that do not have a Telegram. That's the same narrative where WDog, Snoopy, and the rest of them fall into. So I've been looking at Snoopy charts. If you can pull it up from your end, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'll try to do that now. Just give me one second. Okay, cool. So I should be sharing my screen now. Can you see it, everyone?
Yeah, it's there.
I just wanted to say that Pesto has just pumped a lot, actually. That's pretty mad.
Oh, yeah.
Just had a big wick or a big candle. So we're going to take a look at Snoopy now.
Okay, so if you put the chart on 4-hour time frame, you see that you see that the token has been consolidating after it set an all-time high around $15 million market cap.
Yeah.
It found its bottom around $6 million market cap. So the way I'm seeing it, there has already been $1.5 million volume in the last 24 hours. And I've actually seen a couple of new wallets getting into the token. So in my opinion, that looks to me that the token has already found its bottom and it's probably ready for another rally upwards. And if you look at what happened with WDog, I think WDog after that pump has retraced all the way down to $9 million market cap, and then that's where it found its bottom. and it has been pumping up like crazy. It has done more than 100% from those lows. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
we can set up a good LP position here. And if you are a bit conservative, maybe we can do 60% Sol and then 40% in the token. I've also made some comparison with what's this one? FWOG. To me, they seem kind of similar, just that FWOG has gotten more attention and it has become more established. But I see that we will have better LP opportunity on Snoofy than FWOG. There are more whales that have already LP'd into FWOG, and FWOG has already built volume, and the volume is kind of dying down, the way I see it.
Yeah. Okay, so for Snoofy alone, like I actually think the chart looks very good. You're bringing up some very good points. It looks a lot like how WDog was looking. Let me just use the same time frame. Okay, yeah. So there are definitely some similarities in terms of the fact that it pumped a lot, and now it has retraced a bit, and it seems like it has found like a bottom around here, right?
Yes.
I think that is a reasonable analysis, and also considering the fact that it has actually made a lot of volume for the last 24 hours, relative to how big of a coin it is. What do you think, Hayden, about this one?
I actually kind of like it. I think
Me too.
the chart looks really good. And then I know that some people on Reddit are kind of cultish about Snoofy. We're getting a good entry. And I think Ishak put a pretty good position together. I kind of like 60% on top, 40% on the bottom. But that's because I'm always the eternal bull. But
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Just that I don't want to be responsible for losing Ben's money.
just blame it on me, Ishak.
Yeah.
Rez, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, I went to the toilet. I
It's
didn't want to
No problem.
disturb. I didn't want to disturb the discussion. So yeah, I do actually have I've had a Snoofy position open for a little while now. Because the coin has held up at that 7 million level for a while. But what I've done is, if I'm planning on being in a coin for an extended period of time, I want to go preferably quite wide because I don't want to be rebalancing constantly. So I actually had a position open from a lot higher up down to where it is right now. I did miss what was just said though. Is this about being bullish because similar to Frog?
Ishak, do you want to share again? You repeat this?
Yeah, the way I see it, I feel like the tokens are actually moving together. Just that, when this one has its rally, it will cool down a bit, then the other one will pick up. I'm talking about Snoofy, FWOG, and WDog.
Okay.
So WDog has already first FWOG had its rally all the way to $100 million market cap. Then it's consolidating now. It's around 63 million right now. And after it has done that, that's when WDog finally broke out and went all the way to 22 or $21 million market cap from the lows of range trading between $9 to $12 million market cap. So now the way I see it, it's like it's possible that we can have similar to that kind of movement from Snoofy. It's like the only one that didn't do that run.
I definitely agree they're quite similar. I mean, you could almost do, if you did a Snoofy to WDog pool, it's a bit more difficult to manage, but they are quite. I know the price action hasn't been too similar, but the narrative for them and how they kind of formed definitely quite similar. And I have been seeing sometimes the Snoofy Reddit does pop up on my phone with posts because I visit occasionally, and it definitely looks like it has a base where it is right now.
Yeah. I generally think that we should make a position on this one. Yeah, I think we could. I think if we were to make a position on this one, I think we could choose like a lower limit at 6 million. So that's, let me just switch back to so
Yeah, because if you, I would probably be tempted. It depends your outlook, but quite a large bin step. Just
yeah,
all depends
I
how
think
long you're in the pool for.
yeah, I think we could make two different positions, right? We could make one-sided, a low bin step or the lowest bin step there is out there, within this small range, right? So this support area here and current price. That would
Guys,
be one of our positions, and then we'd make
I gotta show
a
you something. I gotta show
Yeah,
you something.
let's
So
see.
this is FLog, and this is a wallet that I've seen before. It's RZ Cash. This is a volume bot. So this dude has bought and sold like hundreds of thousands of dollars over this last period of time. And that's actually kind of bullish because what that means is they're trying to make the chart look better because they're wanting the price to go up. So that's like, that makes me more confident about FLog. I just wanted to share that real quick.
Mm, yeah, I still think that we should make a position Snoopy, to be fair.
I like it. No, I like it.
Yeah,
Do both.
Yeah, I think if Sol does go up at all, if it does, we get lucky. A lot, a lot of these pools we've made will rip up like Frog and Snoofy.
yeah.
So
They
what do
react
y'all
the
want to
best.
do with Snoopy?
So for Snoopy, I'll share my screen again, okay?
Go for it.
Yeah, let me just. All right.
Yo, that same RZ Cash wallet is also volume botting on Snoopy right now too.
No, that's funny. That's pretty weird. I don't know what's going on there, but
No, it's
yeah,
just so what people will do is they'll pay bots to buy and sell to increase the volume on their chart to make it look more attractive to potential buyers. So what
yeah,
this says to me is that the people behind Snoopy just decided to make their chart look better. And that probably means that we're going to see an uptrend coming.
yeah. That's bullish. I see that. I see that idea there. So what I thought was that we could make we could actually buy some Snoopy, to be fair. Like depending on how big of a position we'll make. Like what do you think first of all? Like should we put 10 sol into this?
I want to do 14.
Okay, let's do 14.
Feels pretty
So
safe. It shouldn't dump to
yeah,
zero.
me too. Yeah, I agree. So we could put like say we could, yeah, we could put 40% of that 14. So that's like 5 sol. We put that from current price to this candle here, right? This last support area. I'll put a line there. So we put 5 sol between these two limits, and then we buy some Snoopy. We buy 9 sol worth of Snoopy, and for the upside, we could then rely on this resistance area here. And then we could choose a higher pin step pool, right, for the upside position, and for the downside position, we could choose a lower pin step pool.
Ishak or Drew, can one of you guys explain in chat what we're doing with profit share? Someone just asked that in chat. All right, I'm gonna split up our buys into two in case we see a little bit of price decrease.
Yeah.
But let's get it. Yusuf, can you give me the numbers again for the Snoopy? Our bottom top range?
Sure. Give me 1 second. So for Snoopy, for the lower limit, it would be 450. 450.
And what do you want to do for our top range?
Um,
Let me screen share real quick because there's some interesting stuff going on with the liquidity pool.
okay, sure.
This is the wrong freaking screen. My bad. So what I'm looking at here is this pocket of liquidity from 6.5 to 7.5 or 7.8, where there's no liquidity. So it might be interesting to put some of our bag up here and see if we can't catch some solid fees and also get some good and permanent gain in that range. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
All right.
I'm doing something, so give me just one moment.
That's okay. So yeah, let's get it. Raz, do you have any changes or additions
What was
to that
the
strategy?
price of that upper part? Was it
6.5 to 7.8, there's a big liquidity gap.
Yeah, I guess I feel like with Snoopy though, it might depend on the pool. I think it's quite spread out.
Hmm.
I think that's one main one.
What would you do?
I definitely think narrow on the lower end because I mean it seems to have bottomed out, and if it does go lower, hopefully having a concentrated position, it should bounce up from kind of those other levels we've seen it go up before. I mean, if we're looking at a long-term outlook, I think going, let's see, maybe like up to higher than the resistance, that kind of higher, that previous one, if you can see
Above
that.
8.0?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends how long you want to stay in and how bullish you are on it.
Okay. So you were asking about the higher limit, Hayden?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the higher limit would be, yeah, I think a reasonable price would be the most recent support area we had. I mean, resistance area, I mean. So that's around there. That's like 8. I think 8 would be a fine limit to you do. And
go ahead.
okay, so for I'm not sure if you guys agree to that, but yeah, I thought that for the downside position, we choose a lower pin step pool. For the upside position, we choose a high pin step pool.
We can get
Yeah.
all the way to that top end of the range with the same pool.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it just depends on because we could possibly generate more fees if we were to choose a lower pin step pool for the smaller range position.
I want to respectfully decline that because I have to manage all these positions and we're at like 10 different positions now.
Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable, to be fair.
All right, let's go ahead and shift over to Q&A. We're running a little long today, and so we'll probably do 15 or 20 minutes more. But we can start going through the Q&A and see what people have to say and what questions they have.
Yeah, let's check. Let's answer some questions here. Okay. So someone asked, when is the best time to go for a shorter or a larger pin step for a pool? Yeah. So the answer to that question, is that it will depend on many things. But for instance, here with Snoopy, right? We were discussing potentially choosing a lower pin step pool for the smaller range position. The reason for that is that we can, like generally speaking, when you compare two pools, where one of the pools has a lower pin step than the other pool, the pool with the lower pin step will generate more volume because it will be able to offer a better price compared to the pool with the high pin step. Yeah, but it will depend on many various factors. But yeah, that's a general rule. So lower pin step, more fees. Higher pin step, less fees, but more divergence loss.
So we got a lot of deposits today.
Oh, we got a couple. You owe us a couple heavy.
I need a couple drinks. Cheers.
So someone asked about the form. The purpose right now is just for feedback, and we're trying to get better ideas about how to distribute profits. So no wallet addresses today, but just share all of your thoughts.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and revisit it. So someone asked, how do you apply stop losses? This kind of well-paying platform does not. Yeah, that's true. You cannot. You can
Y'all need to
actually
check out. You need to
What?
check out Hawk. They need to check out Hawksite. This
Yeah,
Hawksite
exactly.
has
Yeah.
an integrated
Yeah.
stop loss.
I was
Yeah,
about to
third-party
mention
tools like
something.
Hawksite can do that. You can
Yeah.
find info on the Discord. There's a user in Discord, RWN slash HawkPie AG. Hit him up. He's more than happy to answer any and all questions about that.
Exactly. You can. I mean, there are also some solutions that you can apply throughout the Meteora platform itself. We have like a notifier on the website where you can connect it with Telegram, and whenever your position would go out of range, you would get a notification in Telegram. You can also use that as a solution, but yeah, I think the Hawksite, I mean, Hawksite have built a quite cool website, which we actually also discussed last jam session. So you could also watch that one if you want to get a thorough explanation on Hawksite and what features they provide.
Yeah,
So someone asked,
we did kind of a
Okay.
deep dive into Hawksite, and so if you want to learn more about it, you should definitely check out the last game, and we'll probably bring them on again one day as a guest in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when we say last jam, we mean this is number 12, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be marked number 11. There was a one for Breakpoint, that one totally separate. Don't
Yeah.
confuse that one.
Yeah, you can find it on the Meteora Twitter if you go 1 week, if you go 1 week back from today. So someone asked bid ask or spot, which is less risky. So again, generally, spot is more risky than bid ask. That's a very good general rule that you can think of. Okay, so I think it's an interesting question actually, because Hayden, you did open some positions on Hawkside for dev, I believe, right? And
Yeah.
someone asked what, yeah,
All right.
it did come right, but someone asked, but someone asked what was the experience of it compared to Meteora, like, because you did use like some of the features they had, i.e., auto rebalance and all that. So what was the experience there?
So I'll answer that slightly differently in that I took some of the profits from last week and I opened 5 different positions on Hawksite using their auto rebalance. And the goal for that is to show how they can perform over time. So we have positions in like Moo, WDog, Moodang, Mother, and one more. And so I'm going to do weekly write-ups on how Hawksite is performing. But in terms of the functionality and ease of access, it's essentially the same as Meteora in setting up the pools. The auto compound is something that's really, really nice. And the auto rebalance is also pretty sweet. But like most importantly, what I wanted to do is I wanted to see if we could show like consistent profits over time with entirely passive PLMMing. And so I'm going to have a weekly thread where I update those positions and share about my experience. And so I'd recommend you check those out. I'll post them on my Twitter. I'll link my Twitter in chat right now, but we'll also probably get them. They'll definitely be in the Meteora community.
I want to throw something out there. Just be careful about the whole rebalance thing because that's a great way to maximize your impermanent loss. Making it super permanent. It's got to be worth it. The fee generation has got to be worth it. Someone else asked a question: is it good to stay long in a position or better to do as soon as possible and close. And there isn't a singular answer to that. It depends. I mean, it depends on so many factors, right?
Yeah.
Is this a short term, is it a meme? Is it a pump and dump? Is it a long term? Is it got staying power? Is it a project? I mean, there is not a singular answer on that. It all depends on
Yeah.
that.
I think
And I want to throw this out. I ordered something special and fun with LP money. It's coming. It's going to be epic, one of a kind. I can't wait to show it off. It's going to be a surprise, but we're going to hopefully showcase it at an upcoming jam. I can't wait, but that's coming.
yeah. I think I want to add to that answer. In terms of is it good to stay long in a position or better to close it? I think like the best idea would definitely be to make a strategy upon your position, right? So make like an idea. If you think price will go to such price point, then you will close your position, right? That's probably the best. That's probably the best way to measure whether if you should stay in a position or not. Have a strategy, and if your position lives up to that strategy, at some point in time, close it, right?
And yeah, like it all depends on, as others have said, the market cap and what kind of coin it is. But
Mhm.
I feel a lot, unless it's kind of one of these more established ones, the majority are going to go down at some point. Even if they reach, multi-million market cap, they do retrace a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, such as even kind of Lucy and stuff, kind of, all the rage like last week and seemed like they would stay up and still has dropped a lot. So, as Yusuf said, is if you keep to your strategy, you see some profit. There's nothing wrong with closing out a position and also maybe waiting a day. You're not necessarily missing out on too much, unless it obviously goes up a lot. But you can do that sometimes as well.
Somebody asked a question, what are the parameters that you look out for to know the right coin to LP? And the answer to that is a very long answer. I think more than we have time for here. I mean, someone can give simple answer here, but it's quite incomplete. But that segues me into a promotion here for boot camp. The we covered this really kind of quite well. In fact, just yesterday, Chief, our day two instructor, actually went really in depth on that. I mean, he spent over an hour on that topic itself. So I would really recommend to you go back and look at that recording on X or YouTube. Find that. I mean, he's going to go into it. I mean, it's a subject you could go on for days and days. I mean, as I think all the panelists here would agree with me on that. It's like, how do you find this? Well, there's so many factors. Go back and do that, and that's going to get you guiding in the right direction. And the guys here, they've been doing it as their TA throughout the whole session, right? It's like, why is this good? Why is that not good? That's the way to go.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and also with Meteora, there's just so many strategies that you can use. You could have a lot of people LPing the same coin and doing it different ways, but also we mainly focus on kind of the big coins that are getting volume, but there is also a lot of coins which get decent volume, have a certain market cap, and basically nothing in any Meteora LPs. And there might be some coins that you've seen and seem to have a community forming that no one else really is. So that there's just so many different ways.
All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here for today. We have 7 different positions open so far. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a write-up of these positions and post it on our Twitter community. If you want to be more involved, make sure you fill out the form today and share your feedback there. We also are really trying to get more engagement and open discussion going on in the jams. So please post your thoughts in those positions. If you have any ideas or comments, you're welcome to DM any of us on the Meteora Discord. Otherwise, does anyone else have anything they want to add before we shut it down?
Nope. Thanks for having me on. It was
Yeah, Raz, thank you so much.
good.
Toast,
Everyone
guys.
give
Cheers.
Raz a follow.
Anytime.
Yeah, give Raz a follow. He's a
Bye,
good guy.
guys.
All right, see you everyone. We will see you next week.
Yeah.
Goodbye.